Science is about to create life in the laboratory. July 12, 2019. The following article by Manuel Antide was published on the website of the newspaper El Pa, and reports the audacity of humans to become creators of life. Science is about to create life in the laboratory. Hot Springs in Yellowstone National Park, USA. Getty Images / Peter Unger. On our planet there are 4,200 religions, all different and incompatible with each other. So everyone is somehow atheistic. A person who firmly believes in one religion does not swallow the other 4,199. The Quran states that Allah created all living beings from the water. The God of the Bible says, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, domestic animals, creeping things, and wild animals after their kind." And, according to a myth of Hinduism, the first living being, the god Brahma, sprouted from a lotus flower. Scientists, meanwhile, have just taken another essential step to find out how life really came about and to replicate this process in the laboratory. It would be the definitive proof that life emerges from chemistry and that it is not necessary to resort to any supernatural force, summarizes biochemist Julie Perret of the University of Valencia, Spain. "I think we're about 5 or 10 years from building a functional protocell," says chemist Matthew Powner of University College London. His team is at the forefront of the army of scientists trying to verify how, from primitive Earth's chemical elements, such as hydrogen, carbon, and sulfur, life came by chance, structures capable of copying themselves and sustaining themselves. His latest breakthrough was published in the journal Nature. For more than 60 years scientists have been trying to make peptides, one of the key ingredients of living things. Peptides are short chains of amino acids, a kind of short version of the proteins. However, researchers spent decades bumping into a wall. Their artificial water and amino acid soups did not form peptides in the laboratory. Paradoxically, the British team managed to move forward, taking a step back. The three chemists at University College London, Matthew Powner, Pierre Canavelli and Saidal Islam, demonstrated that peptides could arise on this primitive Earth without the need for amino acids or supernatural forces. The recipe would be a simple soup of water and aminonitriles, precursors of amino acids that would only need the ingredients present in that environment before life, 4 billion years ago, such as hydrogen sulfide formed by hydrogen and sulfur and ferrocyanide carbon, nitrogen and iron. Using a comparison of Julie Perret, scientists would insist on writing the word ABC from the letters A, B and C, but that did not work in water. Powner wrote ABC joining the A precursors, B precursors and C precursors, without going through the letters A, B, and C. It formed chains of amino acids, peptides, without using amino acids. We are close to reaching the end of the principle, to synthesize the functional molecules of life. The next step will be to integrate these molecules into one system, explains Powner, a disciple of John Sutherland, one of the most respected scientists in the field of the chemical origin of life. The teacher is more cautious. If we think of how the cathedrals were built, the people who laid the foundations would die long before the majestic structure of the cathedral was visible. "I would be proud to be one of those who laid the foundations of a protocell," Sutherland declared in 2015. Inches a conversation with Perret himself published in Mode magazine. "I think it's about 5 or 10 years to create a functional protocell," says chemist Matthew Powner. "We are not far, in the conceptual sense, to create life in the laboratory. The controversy may be in what we consider to be alive," says Perret, who did not participate in Powner's work. The biochemist at the University of Valencia warns that there is still a long way to go before creating a cell from chemical elements present on the early Earth. Another essential component would be the cell membrane, and there are still few proposals on how it would have formed, he says. Researcher Ike Ruiz Trillo, of the Institute for Evolutionary Biology of Barcelona, believes that the new study is impressive. In his view, the work could also indicate that certain appropriate conditions on Earth have already been able to allow the formation of peptides without the need to think of anything that comes from elsewhere, referring to the hypotheses that some ingredients of life arrived on meteorites. Powner's study does not solve the question of how the first living beings appeared, but it helps open the way to understanding what may have happened, which is one of the greatest challenges of biology and science in general, says biochemist Juan Antonio Aguilera, of the University of Granada. For some, that's the biggest challenge.